Hey guys, it's Nerdy here, and I'm gonna be drawing Monster Girl Yuri while testing out acrylic markers. It actually shocks me to say this, but the wonderful people from Arrtx gave me their set of 48 acrylic paint markers to test out in a video. This isn't sponsored, but they did send me these products free with the intent of review, so I thought, wowie, double review time, fancy acrylic markers and Monster Girl Horror Yuri. That sounds like it'll pair well. We'll see how it goes. I'm a little optimistic. I mean, if there's anything I know how to do, it's mix art content with one of my current little brainworms. But, well, I'm not super experienced with acrylic markers, so I need to figure out how these things work first before being able to talk about what makes me so excited about this Monster Girl Yuri. So how about we get to actually opening this package? So here's the box. First of all, I'm going to keep this box. It's cute as hell. It also comes with extra nibs, which is awesome because I don't know how good I'm gonna be at not damaging these nibs. Let's actually get this open, shall we? Ooh! Damn. These are nice. Holy crap. I think I'm just gonna keep these in the box and then take them out whenever I so please. The specific set that Arrtx sent me was their pack of 48 medium tip acrylic markers. The set retails for about $50 US or 70 Canadian if you're from Canada like me. Hi, this is Editing Nerdy. I was checking the prices of the markers on other websites, and I noticed that on Amazon, the markers retail at about 52 Canadian, which is 36 USD. So if you want a sweeter deal on the markers, you should get them off of Amazon. Hee hee. They work like most other standard paint pens do. You have to shake the nib and then press down on a sheet of paper in order to get the ink into the nibs. I decided to swatch all the colors out in my sketchbook to get a better guide of how they'll look, as well as how they'll scan. I've been scanning a lot of my sketches and traditional work recently, so I thought it would make sense to check. Some colors actually end up scanning up a bit darker than they look in real life, but to be honest, that contrast actually helped the final artwork, but you'll have to just wait and see what I mean later on. With everything tested up, I came up with a composition of the girlies digitally so I could get it printed out on multimedia paper. And I'm gonna tell you now, this composition was way too ambitious for someone who has hardly ever used acrylic markers before. I had more than a few struggles sketching it out alone, which should have been a red flag for me to go with something simpler, but nope. I even ended up having to ask some of my AU Arts alum friends for help with the composition, and my homie Clarice was able to do a draw over, which helped me a lot. Go follow them, by the way. They're awesome. But when the sketch was good to go, I printed it out with my baby gargoyle by my side. So now, here we are. Yuri printed out, markers at the ready. Let the madness begin. So your first non-marker related question might be, who are the girls you're drawing? These characters are Shiori and Hinako from Watashi no Tabeta Hita de Nashi, or This Monster Wants to Eat Me, often shortened to WataTabe. It's currently an ongoing manga series, but there's an anime adaptation coming out this year, so my goal with this video is to get people hyped about it because this manga series is awesome. The manga itself is written and illustrated beautifully by Naokawa Sai, and the anime will be done by Studio Lings, which has only ever worked on Yuri as my job. I find it really hilarious that there seems to be an anime studio out there dedicated only to adapting Yuri series into anime. That's awesome, I love that. Hinako will be voiced by Ure Reina, but other than that, not much else is known about the anime's production. I have been following and machine translating the anime and the mangaka's Twitter account for any new morsels of news though, but that's because I'm simply a freak. Speaking of freaks, that is what these two girlies are. This series is a horror, and both Shiori and Hinako are different flavors of freak that combine together to make peak toxic depression Yuri. So I wanted to capture that in the artwork I'm doing here, depicting Shiori reaching out for a drowning Hinako that isn't at all panicked by the situation she's in. Again, really complex composition with an ocean background that is biting me in the ass given I only have a small selection of blue shades to work with. This is not Arrtx's fault though. I am just a dumbass. But at this point in the piece, I was done with the larger background shapes, so I really wanted to try out those extra thin tip nibs they sent me. And that's when I discovered a very pleasant surprise about these markers. Oh, wait a minute. Oh my god, wait. That's awesome. It is already just like on the other side, it's just a thinner nib. Dude, that kind of rocks, actually. My hands have been like super messy this entire process, but that's a me thing. I don't know how to use paint pens, so we are doing our best. So yeah, you don't entirely need to fully replace the nibs in order to get thin, delicate lines from these markers. The switching process is kind of messy, even with tweezers, but Arrtx also offers dual tip pens on their website, and honestly, I am very tempted to try them out as well. I do also try the brush nibs they sent me for these markers later on, and I really like how it applies as well. It's mostly the larger round nibs that are giving me a bit of trouble. Even so, they are pretty good for laying down a base coat to build up upon, and honestly, I was pretty impressed by how much paint these markers hold. Large paint supply is one of the main selling points of this product, as well as its solid coverage and fast drying time. But as you can see, I did still end up getting my hands covered in paint pretty quickly. Like I mentioned before though, that's not really Arrtx's fault. These are paint markers after all, so you still have to wait for them to dry, even if it's a very fast drying process. It's about 10 to 30 seconds depending on how heavy you lay down the paint. I have more thoughts about these markers, but I'm going to discuss them later on when I'm done with the artwork itself. For now, let's get back to talking about This Monster Wants to Eat Me. The story of WataTabe mainly focuses on what it means to be alive, and if there's anything in this world worth living for, especially in the aftermath of intense tragedy. Pretty bleak, I know, but I did say this series was a horror. It's specifically a yokai-based folk horror, which makes it even better in my opinion. But because of this, it does tackle some pretty dark subject matter, so if you're someone who's sensitive to discussions of depression and disturbing thoughts, I recommend skipping to the next timestamp. Our main character, Hinako, has been wanting to die for many years now, floating through life in a listless and empty state. This makes her entirely unaware of the monsters in her small seaside town that find the scent of her depression to be mouth-watering. Right when she's about to get her wish granted at the hands of one of those monsters, a mysterious girl saves her. But she isn't a girl. This is Shiori, and she's a mermaid. She's not your average under-the-sea Ariel type mermaid, though. She's a bloodthirsty monster who declares to Hinako that she and she alone will be the only monster worthy of eating her. However, Shiori is intent on not granting Hinako's wish to die right away. It is important to Shiori that Hinako must be eaten when she tastes her best, and that will only be when she is at her most happiest and satisfied, when she finally sees value in the life she has. In order to finally get what she wants most, Hinako starts making efforts to go outside of the house more and live life instead of existing through it. Of course, there are other monsters out there that want a taste of Hinako's blood, and through protecting her from these creatures, we learn about Shiori's motives and why she is so drawn to Hinako in the first place. There are other characters and conflicts that emerge in the story, but for now, that's all I'm going to say about the plot because I want you guys to read the manga and watch the anime. If you're someone who's invested in Japanese folklore and eldritch horror with a hint of lesbianism, this is the exact story for you. Without saying too much, the monsters aren't even the most dread-inducing aspect of the story, and if you're simply an enjoyer of cute girls doing whatever the hell, these characters are indeed very cute, and there are some silly moments balanced out to really make the depressing bits hit harder. If you're someone who found my channel because of my OMORI gay analysis videos, I feel like you would really like WataTabe. Both of the stories focus on an incredibly depressed monotone protagonist who grapples with whether their life is worth living after having a tragedy take away everything that's precious to them. And if you're a sunflower shipper, the dynamic between Hinako and Shiori might seem pretty familiar to you as you continue to figure out Shiori's exact motives behind why she is so drawn to Hinako specifically. If you like tragic gays doomed by the narrative they're in, you'll love WataTabe. I'm honestly so excited to see how this story will pan out as more chapters of the manga are released. WataTabe is currently licensed for English translation via Yen Press, and right now only 2 of its translated volumes are available for purchase. If you're someone who reads fanscans like me, I do highly recommend also buying the official volumes to show your support, and because there is truly nothing better than reading manga physically and collecting making a series you love. But I know a lot of people enjoy watching anime more than they like reading manga, so hopefully this adaptation lives up to the story the manga's telling. You guys are not ready for this toxic Yuri gold that will be gracing anime in 2025. If this adaptation is even half as good as the manga, we're truly getting some peak content. So that's pretty much all I have to say about WataTabe for now, and wouldn't you know, the artwork is done! What great timing! It's not like I formatted this script so this would happen or anything. I'm honestly pretty satisfied with how this piece came out, given how ambitious I was for no damn reason. Something about working with opaque paint specifically always freaks me out. You kind of have to work from background to foreground with these mediums and trust the process and your skills will carry you through. Working that way is way out of my comfort zone, so I'm surprised this doesn't look like absolute ass. When I scanned the artwork, the first thing I noticed was that my scanning bed is 9 by 12 inches, which is the exact size of the paper I used, and I'm so relieved I didn't go any bigger, holy crap. After scanning, I noticed that the contrast of the colors was a lot higher on my computer than it was in real life, but that's rad actually. Throughout the entire piece, I was stressing out about the value contrast, specifically with Shiori's hair, because I didn't want to use black marker in its rendering. I tested it out while I was working on the piece and almost immediately noped out. Lucky for me, Arrtx is not playing when they say that their coverage on these pens is pretty damn strong. I was able to cover that blunder up super easily. I also went in and edited their facial features digitally because it was hard to render delicate facial features even with the thin ends of the nibs or the extra brush nibs that they sent me. But that's partly because their faces are quite small in this composition. A few days later, I decided to test out the paint pens in my current sketchbook, and I drew a semi-realistic portrait of Hwanju from Squid Game 2. I used fine liners to add thin line work over top, and I really liked how it turned out. She's the best season 2 character, by the way. Fight me. I'll probably use paint pens for messier content like this because that's simply how I prefer to do traditional art. Also, if you're wondering how I'm gonna stop the paper from curling too badly, $90 textbook from art school. Works really well as a paperweight. Worth all of the money I spent on it. Overall, the main selling points of Arrtx's set of 48 acrylic paint markers are as follows. 1. Their strong, even coverage with no pressure layering colors on each other. This I can get behind. You do have to shake them pretty thoroughly for even coverage when applying a first coat on textured paper, but the layering is no joke. 2. Their durable pen tips. Yep, unless you press super hard on the thinner side of the nibs, they're quite resilient. 3. Rich colors and satisfying payoff. Yes, big yes on this one. The color selection in this set was very good. 4. Easy to shake and use. Also true, although the whole shaking before use is something you will have to commit to muscle memory over time as you work with these products. 5. Fast drying time. I discussed this earlier, but while the drying process is fast, it is not immediate. You will get your hands messy if you're an impatient artist like me. And you know what? Those results are pretty solid. Arrtx is definitely delivering an honest product here, and I genuinely really want to try other supplies that they offer, specifically their dual-tip acrylic markers. While working on the WataTabe fan art, I constantly found myself switching the nibs on these markers around with tweezers and getting my hands super messy, so I feel like those dual-tip pens would work really well for me. I definitely buy from Arrtx, even if they didn't send me these products for free, and I highly recommend you checking them out if anything from this video has interested you. I'll have links below to where you can purchase the markers, as well as the WataTabe anime website and Twitter if you want to be kept posted on when episodes will finally start releasing. Overall, both topics I discussed in this video are fully worth checking out and giving your support to. And if you want to support me specifically, there will also be links down there to all of my social media accounts, my online store, and my commissions page. A like and comment on this video are also great ways to show your support as well. I'd love to hear what you guys think about the artwork and WataTabe if you end up reading or watching it because of me. I would also love to know if you've used any of Arrtx's products as well. But with that, I'm pretty sure I'm all wrapped up here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, whatever the hell that may be. Bye!